How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about the 10 most valuable shipwrecks ever discovered. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button for more awesome content just like this. The BELITUNG shipwreck is also commonly known as the Tung or Vatu Hitam shipwreck and was found off the coast of Belitung Island, Indonesia in 1998. The ship itself is an old Arabian dhow, which is a generic term for a traditional Arabic sailing vessel, possibly dating back as far as 600 BC. The ship was travelling between Africa and China in 830 AD and apparently sank to the ocean floor on its return journey. Surprisingly, the ship was off course during its journey and experts aren't entirely sure why. For a more direct return route, the ship should have gone through the South China Sea and then along the southern coast of Asia, where it would meet back up with the northeastern corner of Africa. Instead, the ship ended up nearly 380 miles off course and wrecked. What was most unique about the shipwreck was that it held a vast number of Tang Dynasty artifacts, perhaps the largest collection known to modern archaeology. The Tang artifacts were primarily made of bowls and included yuware from Zhejiang province, a form of Chinese ceramic decorated with celadon glaze common in southern China, changsha ware, one of the oldest forms of Chinese pottery, and whiteware or dihua porcelain. Over 60,000 pieces were found in the ship's cargo hold, and while the Chinese bowls made up the majority of the artifact collection, there were a number of other impressive items as well, including spice jars, inkwells, funeral urns, gilt silver boxes, metal ingots, a Tang Dynasty gold cup, Buddhist lotus symbols, Central Asian motifs, Persian motifs, Quranic inscriptions, and Iranian pottery. Today, the Belitung shipwreck's treasure hoard is believed to be worth around $90 million. In 1857, the SS Central America and its 477 passengers set out from Colon, Panama, aiming for the shores of distant New York City. The 280-foot sidewheel steamer was loaded with nearly 10 tons of gold that had been prospected in California during the gold rush era. 6 days after its departure from shore, the ship was caught in a vicious hurricane. Although the SS Central America did what it could to stay afloat, the hurricane decimated the ship's sails and eventually began tearing at the ship's hold. After 2 days of fighting, a hole in the ship's side filled with water dropped the steam pressure of the ship and the ship slowly began to sink. More than 420 people died on the SS Central America, while the rest were rescued by a passing Norwegian ship. The shipwreck was not rediscovered until 1988, when the Columbus America Discovery Group, based out of Ohio, planned and sent out a remote-operated vehicle to take a look at the old wreck. The gold and other artifacts that were discovered were immediately set upon by insurance companies, claiming they were owed the funds due to the 19th century wreck. After many legal battles, the Discovery Group was eventually granted 92% of the gold, and the site came under the jurisdiction of archaeological groups. The ship of gold is estimated to be worth more than $150 million. This ship dates back to the 1st century BC and was discovered by Greek sponge divers in 1900 off the coast of the island of ANTIKYTHERA near Crete. Over the course of several years, a number of artifacts were recovered from the wreck that dated as far back as 4th century BC. These artifacts included a number of bronze statues, 36 marble sculptures of different ancient Greek heroes and gods, 3 marble horse statues, a bronze lyre, a number of glasswork pieces, lead sounding weights, and the ANTIKYTHERA mechanism, which is known as the world's oldest analog computer. The shipwreck is more than 2,000 years old, and today the artifacts that were found are worth around $160 million. 8 years after the SS Central America met its untimely end, the sidewheel steamship, the SS Republic, set off from Georgia's coast on its way south towards New Orleans. The ship bore a number of passengers and around $400,000 worth of gold coins. 5 days into the ship's journey, a hurricane built up and overtook the ship and its crew. Within a day, the hull had been damaged so badly that it began to take on water too fast for its crew to bail. Those on the ship escaped on lifeboats and were found 2 days later by the ship Horace Beals and its crew. The SS Republic was rediscovered in 2003 by an archaeological company out of Florida. Today, the artifacts and coins that were recovered are worth around $180 million. Perhaps the most famous shipwreck in the world, the RMA Titanic sank in 1912 after its hull was gorged by an iceberg. Numerous salvaging plans were put forth to try and reach the Titanic from the moment it sank. However, it wasn't until 1985 that a group finally succeeded in reaching the massive ship. Of the more than 2,000 passengers on the ship, only around 700 survived. The passenger ship was full of a number of artifacts and treasures, including diamonds, gold bars, silver, and valuable art, thanks to its extensive wealthy passenger list. Today, the items found in the wreckage of the Titanic are believed to be worth around $200 million. This shipwreck is believed to be the remains of a Portuguese ship, the Bom Jesus, which went under during a journey from Portugal to India in the mid-16th century. It's believed that the ship ran afoul of a bad storm off the coast of West Africa during its journey, and was found in 2008 off the coast of Namibia. The full scope of the treasure found in the wreckage is not fully known, but thus far the following artifacts and treasures have been recovered. Tons of metal ingots, massive amounts of gold coins, 50 plus elephant tusks, and weapons dating back to King Zhao III. The total worth of the shipwreck is still being calculated, though it's projected to be one of the most valuable shipwrecks discovered in modern times. The SS Gesoppa was a British steam vessel meant for overseas mercantile trade. Originally built in 1919, this ship was drafted into the British Navy during World War II, and was sunk by a German U-boat in 1941 while it was on its way to refuel in Ireland. 85 lives were lost with the sinking, and serious salvage efforts were not fully mounted until 2011. More than 61 tons of silver bullion were found on the wreckage, though it's believed that there was more than 200 tons on the ship at the time of its sinking. Today, the wreck is believed to be worth more than $210 million. This passenger, cargo and slave ship was on its return trip when it was captured by pirates and made the flagship of Captain Samuel Black Sam Bellamy. In 1770, Black Sam and his crew aboard the WHYDAH galley were caught in a vicious storm along the coast of North America, and the ship was wrecked with only 9 survivors, 7 of which were prisoners of the pirate ship. It took more than a century for the wreck to be rediscovered, at which point the ship's more than 200,000 artifacts were uncovered. In addition to a great deal of silver, the fibula bone of an 8 or 11-year-old child was discovered, which proved an old story about Black Sam's youngest pirate crewmate, an 11-year-old boy named John King. The discovery of the WHYDAH galley is the only Golden Age pirate shipwreck ever to be found and authenticated beyond a doubt. Today, the wreck is worth more than $400 million. The ATOCHA Motherlode refers to the Nuestra Senora de Atocha, which was one of a group of vessels that was sunk off the coast of the Florida Keys during a hurricane in 1622. The ATOCHA itself has been packed with trade goods it gathered from Cartagena, Portobello, New Granada and Havana, and was on its way back to Spain with the haul. The goods on the ship included copper, silver, gold, tobacco, precious gemstones and indigo. The Spanish crown attempted to recover the wreckage and its precious cargo, but with no luck, and the resulting blow to the country's financial stability severely weakened Spain as a Western empire. Parts of the shipwreck were discovered in 1980, but it wasn't until 2011 that the full scope of the treasure aboard the ATOCHA was fully realised, though much of the treasure has still not been recovered. Today, the shipwreck is believed to be worth around $450 million. Before we get to the number 1 spot and find out how much one of the most valuable shipwrecks in the world is worth, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest content. A second Spanish frigate, the Nuestra Senora de la Mercedes, sunk off the coast of Portugal sometime around 1804, and is currently in the process of a recovery project run by the Odyssey Marine Exploration Company. The ship itself was sunk during a battle between Spanish and British forces, which saw the death of 250 Spanish crewmen. The recovery project saw results in 2007 with the recovery of 17 tons of precious coins, and it was at that time that rumours began to grow and questions arise about the nature of the shipwreck. Around this time, the Spanish government claimed that the shipwreck was likely the Mercedes, and they sued the Odyssey Marine Exploration Company for the find. After years of legal proceedings, the US court system eventually ruled in favour of Spain, and the treasures recovered from the ship were flown to Spain in 2012. The coins and other treasure discovered were distributed among museums in Spain shortly thereafter. The Black Swan project remains one of the most valuable shipwrecks found to date, with an overall estimated worth of more than $500 million US. Well, that's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that upward facing thumb, subscribe if you're new, or leave us a comment down below. We love reading them. And that's it from me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!